You're listening to Living with Louie. Well, hi, and I'd like to welcome you back. I'd like to start out by having a thank you and a shout out to those people that have taken a minute and gone to support the show. And I really appreciate some of the donations that have come in through our GoFundMe, which we can be found at Living with Louie podcast is a name of our GoFundMe page, and we certainly appreciate any support, and I appreciate the donations that we have received. So thank you. And the next thing I'd like to talk about this week, I think, is our caregivers. I'm not a caregiver. I'm a person with Lewy body dementia. So the only information that I can give you about caregivers are strictly from observation of what I experienced, looking at what I see other people say they experience, and I would really love for a caregiver to reach out to me on Facebook at um, and and come on and kind of share their experiences with our listeners, because I think this is an important area that is often just taken for granted. And isn't that true of so many challenges that we face through life with our loved ones, is that we take for granted that they're always going to be here for us. And that I don't want to take for granted um, the level of care and the level of love and compassion that my caregiver, which happens to be my beautiful wife, um, I can't imagine what it's like for her to watch as different things in my life have been stripped away, and watch as I struggle. She knows when I need to be comforted. She knows when I need to be reeled in a little bit. And I just can't imagine how difficult it is to watch this happen to one of your loved ones, um, and try to make sense of it all. I mean, certainly here I am. I'm the one that has the Lewy body, and I don't even know how to explain sometimes what I am going through in a manner that makes it easier for my wife to understand. Um, I know that she understands that I didn't. She tells me all the time, don't don't apologize, because I constantly say I'm sorry when things are frustrating. And she said, "You didn't choose this," and I said, "Neither did you." And I have gone through the initial emotions of not wanting to put her through the pain of watching me go through this. Tried my I tried my hand at potentially pushing her away, but she's like, "Nope, I'm not going anywhere. You just need to know that now." Um, the facts are that um, in my particular case, and I don't know about everyone's case, and I don't pretend to, but it started out with me just having some fluctuating levels of attention, inability to concentrate. It's And then came along more of the motor dysfunctions, losing my balance, and my speech really suffered terribly. Uh, I will tell you that, and I've said this in just about every episode that I put out here, that my therapy team has certainly been instrumental in helping me with my speech and helping me with my balance. They can't do much with the cognitive piece. Um, but I, I think one of the reasons I think it's important for caregivers to share what they're going through is that I think it's just like I say here on that, if you're living with Louis, I want you to know that you're not fighting this battle alone. And I want caregivers to realize that, that they're not fighting this battle alone either, that there are other caregivers out there that are going through similar circumstances that in by sharing those experiences, I think it helps others to say, okay, and maybe you've got something that you're trying with your loved one that um, hasn't been thought of yet, and you sharing it may open someone's eyes to say um, that there's something there that may help. Uh, I don't I don't think that watching one of your loved ones go through this, it can't be anything short of very painful. I had told my wife that the man she married isn't here anymore. And she said, "Yes, you are. But I know that I'm not the same person that she married. But I also know that there's enough of the person that she married that she's standing by my side and will fight this battle with me every step of the way. I I know that a lot of times during the day I'm home here by myself, but I also know that one quick phone call is all it will take, and she would be right here to help me if I needed. I I know that one of the people that I've had the pleasure of meeting and meeting him through this Lewy body. I know that his caregiver has means the world to him, and yeah, I'm sure that all of us that have Lewy body would love to celebrate our caregivers. And I know that I don't always think that I understand the full impact of what my wife is experiencing. I don't. I try, but I don't know that it's always accurate depiction in my mind as to what I I hope that you can relate to what I'm trying to say. I'm having some difficulty here with trying to express the actual thought process that I'm and but my I think that what makes it difficult for a caregiver is the absolute um, day-to-day uncertainty of what they're going to have to deal with that day. And there's all kinds of information that's out here to help support our caregivers, but at the end of the day, um, the the caregiver and the amount of love and compassion that they uh, bestow upon us is absolutely just a beautiful thing. And I think it exemplifies the commitment that was made on our wedding day, that we would stand beside each other through sickness and in health, for better or for worse. And I know that my wife will certainly be there. And I understand that for some caregivers, we become um, to a point where it becomes dangerous and unsafe for us to be home unsupervised. I do not look forward to that time. Um, and I certainly feel for anyone that has to make those types of decisions. They're not easy decisions to make, but I would certainly not want my wife, would not like to drive my wife crazy before she makes some other arrangements for me um, to, to stay safe. And that's, I think, where the rubber meets the road. Um, I found it interesting that I found a survey that is in one of the Lewy Body Dementia Association's Caregiver Burden and Lewy Body Dementia's booklet here. And it talks about some of the burdens that brought on by the demands of caring for their relative. 38% of these people reported that they felt extremely burdened on 7 out of the 12 items measuring the amount of burden. Now, they don't go into what those 12 items were. They reported that the highest burden when describing the impact of providing care on their person was, providing care on a personal level, helping them with bathing and their day-to-day health and emotional well-being. 1/4 of them felt that no one understood what they were going through. 1/4 of caregivers out there have reported that they don't feel like anybody understands. I I know that as someone with Lewy body, I oftentimes wonder if there's anyone that really understands what it is I'm going through. The purpose of this podcast is to share with everyone the best description I can of what I'm going through. And I'm hoping that some of this will help to educate and share with loved ones, and maybe help them to realize that that there are others out there that understand what they're going through. 80% said they felt somewhat to very isolated because of their involvement in providing care. Well, I can tell you, I understand that. I understand it only because I understand that I feel isolated sometimes, because here I am basically at home most of the time. 38% reported that their relative received no assistance from outside services. Well, I will tell you that I'm a military veteran, and because my wife works, the VA will offer me absolutely no help. I am on disability, and I can tell you that there's very little assistance that's out there, and I assume that in order to get assistance, you have to be just about totally destitute. Um, 29% indicated that they had paid care in the home. Um, that's a wonderful thing. If you can get someone to come in and help to um, ease your burden as a caregiver and keep your loved one at home. I know this. My home is my safe place. It's my sanctuary. It's where I can go and let my soul rest and let my brain rest. And as my good buddy Mike will say, rest and reset. And so 23% were attending some type of support group. And it's support groups, I think, are, in my opinion, the support groups that I have been involved in with my Lewy body. Some of them are good. Others are laced with people who feel like the only person that has any voice and or opinion, they want to shove their opinion on you. And if you have a differing opinion, they want to try to squelch you. Um, I'm not a fan of that. I think that everyone's input, if you are involved with this disease, is as important as anyone else's. And just because maybe I don't agree with it does not diminish the value of that person's opinion. And so, um, I guess what I have to try to remember is don't let one bad apple spoil the whole bunch. Um, my mom used to say that to me. She was a smart woman. I can only say that I give a huge shout out of appreciation for anyone who is a caregiver for someone like myself living with Lewy body. I know it cannot be easy, and so I know that um, the other people that I've talked to that have Lewy body, and they all express that the tremendous amount of appreciation that they have for their caregiver. Now, I will tell you that even though I appreciate everything that is done by my wife, I don't think I am um, as forthcoming with telling her how much I appreciate it. I think that I have a tendency to let my frustrations and things like that kind of overshadow it, and then there's times when I'm just staring off into outer space, and I don't know what's out there, but it's not me, and but I know that those are the times when she'll come up and just try to reel me back in and bring me back to reality. What I guess I'm trying to say in the to summarize this is that I cannot tell anyone enough how much I love and appreciate my wife and the level of patience and an understanding that she has been displaying since this diagnosis. I know that most of us that have Lewy body would love to make sure that our loved ones know that. If you're a caregiver, please, I can be found on a Facebook page. It's Living with Louie Podcast. We have a web page. We have a group that we've started on Facebook group. And that Facebook group is open to anyone, caregivers, people with Lewy body, medical professionals, anyone that wants to have open forum. We will not do anything to try to say, well, your opinion doesn't count, because your opinion does count. And so with that, I think I would just like to end by saying thank you to all of you caregivers. And I would love to have some of you share some of your experiences. And you can reach out to me on Facebook through the Lewy Body Podcast Facebook page or the group. Thank you very much. And once again, we will give a shout out to our caregivers, and thank you all. We'd like to thank you for joining us for this edition of Living with Louie.